Prince of Shadow by LaBate. Narrated by Tommo Taylor. Chapter 1. Dawn of a New Age. Bright orange rays flew across the sky, the sun descending so the moon could ascend and its beauty revealed to all. People crowded the streets of the market, buying their post-work ingredients to make dinner for their families. The soldiers of the city had their shift changes, the relieved soldiers heading to the bars. Cars zooming down the freeways, everyone eager to get home. The lights of the city slowly turned on, and the city became more alive. This was the way the Kingdom of Alteria had worked for centuries. During the day, the city was quiet and peaceful. At night, the streets became crowded and everyone was out and about. Alteria wouldn't be considered a normal kingdom. Instead, it was a city surrounded by a wall. At the center of the kingdom stood a large skyscraper that split into two towers halfway up. One tower was solely dedicated to the King's Blade, the King's personal covert ops team. Consisting of 6 members and 6 members alone, they were considered the best of the best. Each member has their own unique skill set that sets them apart from their fellow members. While the other tower was for the royal ensemble. Anyone who had an important part to play in the King's life lived in that tower, along with each role having their own floor should they decide to live in the tower. The top floor were lounges with a bridge connecting the two towers at that section. An elevator sat in each corner of the tower, allowing for easier transportation inside. Inside the grand throne room sat the King of Alteria, King Arthur Nocturnus. Sitting atop the throne, he could see out into the city through the balcony that lay directly across from him. Descending the staircase, the king made his way outside, where he would watch the city with a smile on his face. His black long hair sporting grey on the side, and his black royal suit set him apart from others his age. Green eyes that have seen too much than they wished for, scanned the city and looked for any issues that would warrant his immediate attention. "Your Highness," a member of his royal entourage said from the opening, "Prince Richard is here, along with Prince Kalansky." A smile broke across the man's face as he turned around and looked at his oldest friend, Kingston Freodin. Saving his life on more than one occasion, he was quickly promoted to Captain of the King's Blade. A dark blue suit and the top button undone showed that he was ready to see his family. "I told them you'd be with them shortly." "Thank you, Kingston," Arthur told his friend. His friend returned the smile, walking over to join his king at his side. "I assume there is more you wish to talk about?" "Just a quick status report," Kingston mentioned as he turned to look at his king. Arofni reported in. He paused before continuing. "A problem came up and they're going to be running late to the extraction point." "I see," Arthur sighed. "I trust this won't be affecting their overall mission." "He assures me that if they miss the extraction time frame, they'll just hitch a ride back." Kingston and Arthur chuckled at the thought of the legendary King's Blade hitchhiking. "What are you doing tonight?" Kingston knew what was coming, and a grin appeared on his face. "Freya's cooking tonight. I insist you bring your family." "It has been a while since we had dinner together," Kingston mentioned. "On top of Richard's birthday, I believe Sarah would be glad to see him again. I'll send a car to get you when dinner is ready." "No need, Arthur," Kingston said, as he made his way back into the throne room. "I'm sure that Sarah will insist that we come over immediately once I tell them." He waved goodbye to the king, and he was soon replaced by his 2 sons, Richard and Kalansky. His oldest son, Prince Kalansky, at 27, wore a grey vest over a white button-up shirt and grey slacks, his blonde hair neatly combed, and his dress shoes neatly polished. Standing 2 inches taller than his younger brother at 6 foot, he looked as royal as could be. The family trait of green eyes were on both his sons, along with the ability of being able to see in the dark. Richard was 5 years younger, and most couldn't tell that they were related. Unlike his brother, he wore a black long-sleeve shirt, black fingerless gloves, and black jeans. His brown hair shaggy, and his black lace-up boots had him looking more casual than his brother. A smirk sat on his face as he stood next to his brother, hands in his pockets. "You wanted to see us, Dad?" Richard asked, rocking back and forth on his heels. Kalansky elbowed his brother, in an attempt to get him to be more formal around their father. Instead, he received a glare from his younger brother. "Can you not?" he asked his brother. "Can you show some manners?" Kalansky replied back. "I could," Richard said as he removed his hands from his pockets. He took a few steps forward, stretching them as he went to lean against the balcony railing. But I'm not feeling it today. You will show respect, and dress yourself up when Sarah comes over for dinner tonight. Richard's eyes went wide, immediately looking at his father. This ought to be fun, Kalansky muttered, a grin coming onto his face. Sarah's coming over for dinner? Richard asked in disbelief. And it's my birthday! He pushed off the railing and sprinted past his brother to the elevator. Maybe she'll kiss me for my birthday! They heard him yell before the elevator door closed behind him. He's certainly excited to see Sarah. Arthur turned to look at his eldest son, beckoning him closer. It's just us, Kalansky. You don't need to be so formal around your father. I'm sorry, he sighed, his posture relaxed. I've been sorting out the issue of the Royal Army having the equipment mix-up. Richard and Ezra were finishing their classes for the day when I picked them up and they gave me their thoughts. It unsettles me how informal Ezra is around Richard. They are best friends, Arthur told him. They have a level of friendship that breaks the formal barrier. He put a hand on his son's shoulder. Look at Kingston and I, for example. The two of us have been friends since we were kids. When we were in the field fighting, we never used formality. But when we were in the tower, he resumed the formality. Kalansky sighed, knowing his father was right. He has taken his duties and done them, but he also knows that you're next in line for the throne. He walks a different path than you do. Formality is not on that path. What do you mean, father? Kalansky asked. I thought Richard would take up a part in the royal ensemble, perhaps as captain of the King's Blade. He would rather join the King's Blade than lead them, Arthur said as he and Kalansky started to walk back into the throne room. The guards have seen him sneaking out of his room and going into their training room. He has been practicing very hard. Kingston has seen his progress. They stopped when they got to the elevator. I ask that you honor your brother's wishes and keep this a secret. He has only told a handful of people, and he did not want me to tell you. Why would he be worried about telling me? Because I know that you would try and talk me out of it. Both of them turned to see the second elevator door open, Richard stepping out wearing a thin black suit with the top button undone. Relax, Kalansky, Richard chuckled. I wasn't planning on leaving you completely. The King's Blade are rarely in the city, Kalansky mentioned. I should hope that you'll take care of yourself out there. I'll have Ezra by my side more than likely, he said with a grin. You're not the only one who'd kill me if something happened to me. I'll be sure to train Sarah so she may join you at your side, Kalansky threw at his brother, a blush spreading across his cheeks. I'm sure she would be more than willing to join you. That wasn't very nice, Callan, a voice said from the elevator Richard had stepped off from. All three turned to look to see Richard's best friend, Ezra. His short, spiky blonde hair had a pair of sunglasses resting atop, and his hands were in his jean pockets. A black t-shirt sat underneath a grey hooded vest, and the same boots Richard wore sat on his feet. He walked over to Richard, and the two did their signature handshake. Ezra, Arthur said as he shook the young man's hand, will you be joining us for dinner tonight to celebrate Richard's birthday? I'd love to, Ezra said as he trapped Richard into a headlock and gave him a noogie. Birthday noogie! He let go of Richard and the young prince stepped back, quickly fixing his hair. You know I had to do it, Dick, Ezra said as he shrugged his shoulders. It's in the rulebook. I'd like to see this rulebook, Richard responded with a smirk. I left it at home, Ezra replied. I didn't realize you needed to see it. He turned to look at the king. Is there a dress code for tonight? I forgot my suit at home. You forgot that I have an entire closet of suits that could fit you. It helps when we're the same age and height. Ezra grinned and ran to the elevator, the king and Kalansky following him in. Richard remained in the throne room as the three of them went to their respective floors. Feeling a pair of eyes watching him, he summoned his weapon, a military-grade 9mm pistol that never ran out of ammo as long as he still had his aura shield, and turned to point it at the person. I see your training is going well, Kingston said as he approached Richard. You nearly took a bullet, Richard told him, his weapon dematerializing. We both know I would have summoned my shield in time to block it, he replied, coming to a stop in front of the prince. Happy birthday, young prince, he said, the two shaking hands. I thought you left to go home, Richard told him, his hands going into his pockets. Don't tell me you just went to the lobby and called them, because that would break my heart. Kingston chuckled and shook his head. I had to call them since I saw how bad the traffic was. No way I'm sitting in that. That's why I ride a bike so I can ride along the sides. And break the law in the meantime? Richard turned a slight red from embarrassment. I still remember the day I had to talk to the captain of the guard to get you released. In my defense, I didn't know that was illegal at the time. Kingston raised an eyebrow. But I guess that was a fun way to spend my 21st birthday. Wonder what will happen now that I'm 22. You'll graduate college and finally join the King's Blade, hopefully, Kingston told him. Maybe you'll finally have the guts to ask out Sarah. I have no idea what you're talking about, Richard said, his face turning a slight shade of red. You may be a great fighter, son, but you're horrible at trying to keep your feelings for her a secret. Richard sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Is it really that obvious? I'm afraid it is, Dick, Ezra said, stepping off the elevator platform. I'm just assuming we're talking about how Dick here likes your daughter. Dude! Richard exclaimed. Her dad's right here! I could kick my ass 6 ways to Sunday! Oh shit, Ezra said. Language, my dear Ezra, a maternal voice said from behind him. He turned his head to see Queen Freya walking towards them. Her light blue dress going to her ankles and a pair of white sandals sat on her feet. Her blonde hair worn in a ponytail, and her blue eyes piercing Ezra's soul. Sorry, your highness, he said, dropping to one knee. I'll watch my tongue around the royal family. She giggled and put a hand on his shoulder. You know you can call me Freya, she told him as he stood. You have been a part of our family for a long time. I see you as a third son. You like me better though, right? Richard jumped in. At times, his mother said, grinning as her youngest son looked defeated. You each have your redeeming qualities. My queen, Kingston said, bowing to her. May I say you look lovely tonight. Thank you, Kingston, but I'm afraid I'm already taken. She grinned mischievously, the two playing their own game. 'Tis truly a shame, he responded as the two smiled at each other. It has been a while, Freya. The two shared a hug, neither having seen the other in months. I see Richard has been proving to be a handful. I'm not that bad, he responded, interrupting his own conversation with Ezra. If anything, I'm only mildly a nuisance. Oh, my dear Richard, Freya said, turning to look at her son. You need to stop sneaking out at night to train. Wait until they get back, then train with them between your classes. The training bots are useful, though. He cracked his knuckles. Although I swear they've been getting harder. Freya turned to look at Kingston and he winked at her, silently admitting that he's been making the bots harder and harder for him to fight. But I guess Grayson and I are due a rematch when he gets back. I'll get him this time. You couldn't beat Grayson even if he was blind, Ezra told his friend, who shot him a glare. What? It's true. He does speak the truth, son, he heard his father say, him and Kalansky joining in the conversation. Grayson is one of the best blades we've trained so far. You would do well to learn from him when he returns. I'd love to train with him, Richard chimed in as his father went to join his mother and Kingston in conversation. His brother stopped next to him and nudged his side, motioning his head towards the far elevator door. Out stepped the lovely Sarah Frieden, brown hair braided and coming down over her right shoulder, a black slim-fitting dress that stopped right before her knees, and black flats that complemented her attire. Everyone act cool, Sarah's here, he rambled off. Dick, she exclaimed, walking with purpose to join them while her mother joined the adults. She looked like a younger version of her mother, and everyone currently in the throne room had all agreed on it. Throwing her arms around the prince's neck, she hugged him, and Richard awkwardly returned the gesture. Quit grinning, Ezra, she said as the two separated. Don't make me kick your ass tonight. Please, Ezra chuckled. You couldn't beat me even if you trained as hard as Dick and I. I do think that she would be able to beat you, Ezra, Kalansky said, a playful grin on his face. The blonde's jaw dropped open and the older prince chuckled. Her charms alone would make you still an open target. He turned to look at Sarah. Might I also add that you look lovely tonight, Sarah? He nudged his younger brother. Oh yeah, Richard stuttered. You look really nice tonight. His face was a slight shade of red. Thank you, she said, a faint blush on her cheeks. You look really nice tonight too. A faint smile came onto Richard's face, one which she returned. If you're done flirting with my daughter, Kingston interrupted, an evil grin on his face. I believe Freya is cooking and she'll need some help in the kitchen. I'll help, Sarah said, quickly moving away from the group and towards the elevator where her mother and Freya were waiting. The door closed and she waved to the group before it did. I see you and Sarah are getting along well, his father casually mentioned. She'll make a fine princess. Dad! Richard exclaimed, his face bright red. I just see Sarah as a friend right now, that's all. Sure you don't, Dickie, Ezra threw at his friend. Because last I checked, I saw you staring at her in class yesterday. To save my brother from further embarrassment, Kalansky mentioned, I believe that we should head down to the dining hall. Knowing Mother, she has been cooking all day, and the ladies are just going to help throw together the last couple of things. Please tell me there's a cake this year, Ezra pleaded. I need my cake or I'll die! What's up with you and my mother's birthday cake? Richard asked, an eyebrow raised. I swear every year you beg for a cake on anyone's birthday. I think you eat more cake than anyone in the entire kingdom. Because your mom makes the best cake ever! I do agree with Ezra, his father chimed in. Of all the cakes I've eaten in my life, your mother makes the best. Glad to know, Richard and Kalansky said at the same time. Let's go and join the others now, Kingston said. I would like to eat, preferably soon. They all agreed, mainly due to Richard's stomach growling loudly. After admitting that he forgot to eat lunch, and a quick lecture from his father, Richard nearly sprinted to the elevator with Ezra hot on his heels. Hold up, you two. They paused, Richard's finger hovering over the button to take them to the lower floor. Don't forget us. Once they were all in, they descended. Watching the fireworks from the lounge bridge, Richard admired the city for what it truly was. Home. When he was younger, the prince had spent most of his time with Ezra outside the walled city. The current Kingsblade leader, Arofni, watched over them when they were outside the wall. However, with the Kingsblade currently deployed on a top-secret mission, he and Ezra were stuck inside the city. They kept telling themselves it could be worse. The Taurian Empire could have been attempting to kill them. You alright? His older brother asked, wineglass in hand, standing just outside the elevator door. You disappeared quickly after dinner. I assumed something happened. Walking over to stand next to his brother, the older prince put his free arm around his brother's shoulders. Sarah was worried that you had some sudden realization upon turning 22. I'm fine, Richard responded, although he himself didn't believe his own words. I was just thinking of when Ezra, Arofni, and I would go outside the wall and adventure in the forest just beyond the border. He shook his head and put his hands on the railing. But I also have to wonder just what the enemy has in store for us. The Taurian Empire is no threat, Kalansky said, post-sip. They use a clone army. But that's the issue, Callan, Richard sighed, pushing off and knocking his brother's arm off his shoulders. They have the number advantage on us. We couldn't possibly beat them if they decided to do a full invasion. We're lucky they're on the opposite side of the continent. What brought this on? What do you mean? You never worried about them until tonight. He set his wineglass down on the ground and looked at his brother with worry. Something is plaguing your mind. I'm just worried about the King's Blade, Richard admitted. I've trained with them and learned to call them friends and family. He chuckled to himself. And yet, none of them are here, because Dad has some top-secret plan to send them on. Kalansky raised an eyebrow at his brother. I know we need them out there, but I also wish they were here. You are quite eager to join them, Kalansky mentioned, a grin taking over. You were hoping to join them today, but since they aren't in the city, you feel like it'll be longer before you join them. Yeah, he sighed. You're right. You're absolutely fucking right. He walked back over to the railing and looked back out into the city. Tell Sarah and Ezra I'll be slightly late to the after party. I need to make a call first, he told his brother, pulling out his phone. Tell Liz I said hi, Kalansky replied, picking up his wineglass and leaving. Richard dialed the number he wanted to call, hoping she would still be up wherever she was. About damn time you called, Your Highness. He couldn't help but smile at the remark she had given him. But hey, I'm glad you called. I couldn't deny the great Liz of the King's Blade a phone call. He heard her laugh on the other end. Sorry I missed your call earlier. I was in the middle of taking a test. Hey, if you had called immediately after I did, you would have heard us in the middle of a fight. Richard raised an eyebrow, and she could sense it over the phone. Our cover was blown and we had to fight our way out of the bar. I know what you're about to ask, and Aaron was the one who blew our cover. Left this damn idea on the table. So I take it he's washing the dishes and whatnot? Oh yeah, Arofni nearly had his ass in the deepest pit of hell. The two shared a laugh before Liz asked her next question. So how goes things with the captain's daughter? I think she likes me, but I can't tell in all honesty. Just follow your gut, Dick, she told him. It worked with Ezra as your best friend, and it's worked with getting me into the King's Blade. Your gut's a good asset, kid, don't go forgetting that. You do realize you're only a year older than me, right? Yeah, I know. Now go celebrate your 22nd. Go find Sarah and tell her how you feel, because we come back tomorrow. A smile came across his face. Soon as we get back, we're going out for drinks and getting you and Ezra into our ranks. I'll see to it. You're the best, Liz, Richard told her. Let me know when you're back in town. Will do, Your Highness, she replied. Happy birthday, Dick. She hung up the phone and Richard put his away, smiling to himself. All right, he muttered. This has to be easier than I'm chalking it up to be. I can do this. He pushed off the railing and went to the elevator, heading down to join the others. He was 22 now, and his life was about to get much more interesting.